Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana.
Hi.
Um, yeah, and Alana and I have been obviously working on a bunch of different things, keeping projects rolling, other projects. And something that I don't think we've actually really talked too much about that I think would be a great conversation for today is about dark humor and
Mm-hmm.
like how we use it to cope. We've attracted other people in the mental health space who use dark humor. And specifically a few TV shows that you and I both agree that are really good that use dark
Mm-hmm.
humor about really heavy topics. But um, before we dive in, let's catch up. Like how's it going? Even though I talk to you like 3 times a day, like let's give an update. Last
Yeah.
couple weeks, things have changed for your skin.
Yes, things have changed for my skin. I got inked. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Tatted. I got
Tatted.
tatted.
Tatted. You got a Mutu.
I got a moo too, a Molly Moo tattoo. If you're watching the video, you can see. And, I've been dreaming this up for months and months and months, but I was on Accutane and you have to wait a certain amount of time after you finish it to let your body, I don't know, do the medical things. And so, yeah, I was inspired by a TikTok that I saw and um, it was fantastic. It was my second tattoo and it was easy and fun. And, Molly Moo is my soul cat and I've had her since 2014. So she has gone through deaths upon deaths. She's gone through moves. She's gone through a lot with me. And so,
Move.
moves. And now she's gone through the adjustment to Lenny. And so I felt like a way to honor her was to have her permanently tatted on my arm. And, she didn't really react to it, which is a very moo thing to do. But yeah, here it is again,
Great.
my little moo too.
I'm really
That's been
proud
the
of you for
biggest.
getting that.
Yeah.
Um, and what else has been going on?
I'm just keep on keeping on. I've been going to Pilates. I hit my 250 class. So last time I got bejeweled socks, bedazzled socks. This time I got a tank top, which is fun, and I've already worn it. It just says the Pilates studio in the area. And yeah, I felt very proud of myself. And the next milestone's 500. So that's going to be like another year. But I make mini milestones for myself. So 300, here we come.
Well, you love gamification, right?
I love
Like
gamification.
with the Peloton, like you used to have a bike and you still have a tread, but like you love the gamification of it. And it's like you are like driven by that and you've always been
Mhm.
driven by gamification.
For everything, for
Yeah.
like Fitbits, Apple Watches. I'm not athletic by any means, but competitive I am
With yourself.
with myself,
Yeah.
and secretly with others, but no one knows that. It's just me against me.
Oh, so is it
And
driving you crazy that I don't use my Apple Watch anymore and you
yeah, of
can't?
course it is. Like I have some friends who I follow, and I always know like I'm not always going to be the top in steps, but it's nice to strive for.
Mhm.
But yeah, gamification is a way that works for me. So yeah, so Pilates has been gamified. I also just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm gonna do an intro
yeah.
class because like it's helped your pain. I've just like been waking up in pain. Like I'm having a lot of pain, just
Yeah.
muscles and so I need to do some strength training. And so there's a class I'm gonna check out nearby.
That's amazing. Yeah, Pilates is great. Recommend it for everyone. It is meant
Mhm.
for everybody that bodies. And make sure you have a good instructor who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I love it. Well, great
Yeah.
update. 250.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Round of
Woohoo! At the
applause.
time of recording, I think I'm at 256 or 257 now. Um, But yeah, how about you? What's gone on in your life?
Well, so we all know if you've been listening for a while how much I love going to the lake. So we have our home in Kamloops, and then we have a 30-foot trailer parked at a lake that's a couple hours
Mhm.
away, and it's my happy place. It's in the forest. There's waterfalls and rivers, and like a white sand beach, perfect water. Beautiful, clear, good temperature. And what I usually go there to heal, but because I've been on like this crazy speaking tour of like first I went to Winnipeg for Passover and then I flew back to Kamloops and drove to Vancouver
Mhm.
and flew all across the world to Bali and then came back.
Mhm.
And then I spoke in Seattle and then came back. And then I, excuse me, flew to Toronto. My body, from all the different time zone switching, my nervous system was dysregulated. And I was able to tell that I was dysregulated by just like I had anxiety for no reason and I felt really tired and drained and my creativity was kind of stumped and like I just felt
Mhm.
exhausted. It's like I know the signs of me when I'm dysregulated. So last weekend I decided to stay home and like I know going to the lake would be great and usually driving to the lake and it's fine, but I knew that because on Sunday I was driving to Vancouver for something very special, that driving 2.5 hours to the lake for 2 days and then driving back and then going to drive 2.5 hours to Vancouver and then driving back was going to be too
Mhm.
much for me. So I actually prioritized staying put and like fully just resting and having 4 days off work, off of things. And it was
Yeah.
so good. And I just like, I napped and I slept and like, I feel like I'm myself again. Um,
Amazing.
and then last Sunday, Shane and I drove to Vancouver. Oh,
Mhm.
on cue to pick up this little girl. That was like right
Hi.
on cue. So you can't see, if you can't see and you're listening to this, my little cat just hopped on my lap. So we picked up a kitten. Her name is Teddy. She's almost 3 months old and she's a British long hair. She's gold with like the bluest eyes. So we've had her for at the time of recording about a week, and she's just absolutely awesome. Like she plays hard, she naps hard, she's super cuddly. She has slept with me every night. We went to the
So
vet and she was
lovely.
super behaved, super healthy, checked out, got her checked out. We're gonna actually, this is really fun because I've never done this before, but we're gonna train her to be an adventure cat. So today I'm
Mm.
gonna get a harness and begin harness training her and leash training her. So when we go to the lake, we're going to start bringing her with us. So in the trailer, she'll roam around, but when we're outside, she'll be on a leash because we have a whole outdoor patio set up. And if we're sitting by the fire, like we'll have her with us. So I don't know how that's going to go. It's either going to go absolutely phenomenal or terrible. And if it goes terrible, then well, I'll update you
Well,
in a couple
yeah.
weeks on that. So the biggest change in my life right now has been the addition of Teddy, and it's soul food. It's like Frey, like the spirit of Frey is like connected with her and been like, you're going to some really awesome humans, and like you're going to love it, and it just feels right. Now, what's also really funny is that I've been talking to a ragdoll breeder and I have a deposit down. So
Yeah.
eventually there's also going to be a ragdoll kitten that like shows up in our life. I just don't know when. And I want to like, I don't want to have two like new kittens.
Mhm.
Because we're having, we're having the experience of integrating Teddy with Duffy, who's our 14-year-old like ginger cat. And
Mhm.
like they're getting close like they can coexist. Teddy wants to play, Duffy does not. But anyways, they've shared food out of the same bowl, so they're making definitely progress. But I think throwing another kitten into the mix will just like screw everything up. So
Yeah.
like at
That's
this time,
fair.
so for now, I have this little fluff ball, and it's just brought me a lot of joy and happiness and like healing.
I love that. And you know what else I love? That we both have colonial cats.
What's a
Blair,
colonial cat?
well, British. I don't know. I feel like colonial is
But
very
aren't we
British.
Canadian, which is like also kind of colonial?
Well, we are
Russian.
colonial because we're like Eastern European and we're not indigenous to the land. And we did not, we are products of colonization.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just always associate like British with like colonial. And
I
so
feel like
like,
our cats are like everyone's like, oh, I didn't know you can buy cats. I'm like, well, yeah, because it's like it's a breed, it's a
yeah.
specific breed from a breeder. And I'm like, some people are into designer jewelry, designer shoes, fancy cars. I'm like, I'm into my designer cats because like
Yeah.
I want a specific demeanor. And like Xena the warrior pussy, our first cat. Oh my God, don't eat my plant. Get out of here. Xena the warrior. Xena the
She
warrior
wanted a
pussy.
specific demeanor
Yeah.
as Teddy's eating a plant.
She was like, yeah. Well, she's a kitten. She's
Yeah.
eating everything. Um, Xena the warrior pussy was a barn cat, free from a friend. Um,
Hmm.
you know, Shane's like Ash was in our life before me. Like it was in Shane's life before me and was a rescue. Duffy was a barn cat. And so Frey was
Hmm.
from a breed because I wanted a specific cat. Wanted something long-haired, fluffy, super cuddly. I work from home. I don't have children.
Yeah.
And so I wanted and like also you can go and like intend on buying a like specific breed and wanting it to have a certain demeanor. It might not. So I'm very,
Totally.
very lucky, but also a lot of like how Shane and I behave impacts our cat's behavior. And Shane and I are pretty mellow. Like
Yeah.
we chill. We're not. There's no yelling. It's very mellow energy. Like we're lots of love. We play with the cats. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, I like my designer cats.
Yeah. So yeah, and Lenny's also colonial. Lenny's a British short hair. So he's the short hair funny cousin of
With the lazy
Teddy.
eye. Love
With a
it.
little bit of a lazy eye, but he's so cute.
Yeah, I
Cats
love
are
that.
cute.
They're funny too. They bring so much joy. And you know what else
Yeah.
brings joy?
What?
Dark humor.
Sure does.
So, there's a lot of different movies and shows and like resources like magazines and books like Get Griefy. There's commercials that run for
Hmm.
that. We have a partnership with Get Griefy magazine. They use a lot of dark humor in their social media and bringing a lot of like other dimensions to grief other than just extreme, profound sadness. But there's a lot of great TV shows and I would say Alana and I watch a lot of TV. Like we don't have children, we have the luxury of time. Like I think since starting my ADHD meds, I've stopped watching as much TV. I still watch a lot, but I don't watch as much. Like after a few hours, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And if it's nice
Hmm.
out, I'd rather be outside.
Totally.
But when there's a good show, I can't help but binge it. If we
Hmm.
can binge it, if it's all out at once. And like with streaming networks, they often do that. Some shows like Shrinking, it's I think it's like at weekly. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But then there's shows like the Canadian show that's I don't know when it's going to be available to the US. I hope soon, but My Dead Mom
Yeah.
or other shows like Dying for Sex
Hmm.
that I binged. Like I was like I need to download all the episodes and because I was traveling and I was like I was because on the airplane I was like I'm going to do all this work and blah blah blah. No. No, no. I had to watch all of the episodes.
Of course.
So like Alana and I can agree on a few shows. I'll read you their descriptions. I pulled them up because I don't want to like mess it up. But like,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about Dying for Sex. It came out
Mm.
this past April. We're going to talk about My Dead Mom, which came out the end of last year. A little bit of Four Seasons and then Shrinking. And there might be other things that come up in this conversation. And if you hear big crashes, it's because my kitten, my designer kitten is having the zoomies and crashing around my office. So let's start with Dying for Sex because it was like the most recent, like my most
Hmm.
recent like obsession. And so basically, this girl's diagnosed with stage four metastatic breast cancer, and she decides to leave her husband and explore the complexity of her sexual desires for the first time in her life. And her best friend is by her side, and it is so well done.
So well done and like also very accurate. Well, the social worker maybe is a little bit boundary crossing.
Yeah,
Not maybe is. But from like the palliative metastatic cancer approach, very accurate, which I love. I love accuracy in a TV show.
yeah. And I think what's really great, so like it's Michelle Williams. Like if you grew up, like if you're a
Hmm.
vintage millennial like me and you watch Dawson Creek, she's from Dawson's Creek, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's very nostalgic, but the way they integrate the seriousness and the humor is just so brilliant because Alana and I've been through a lot of stuff and there was amongst the like absolute shattering heartbreak, there was a lot of pockets of absolutely ridiculous stuff that happened that is nothing
Hmm.
but humorous.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with our dad's uh
End of life.
palliation end of
Yeah.
life. Like our mom's a little less so. Our mom's a lot of it came afterwards, but
Yeah.
our dad's like during it, we would be like, "Oh my God, what is happening?"
Right. Yeah. And so in Dying for Sex, like, I don't think any of this is going to, there might be spoilers for all the things we talk about, but like the show is called Dying for Sex. So basically, I mean, like, I don't know how they're going to do a second season, but like towards the end, the different stages, like the last burst of energy, and,
Mhm.
I thought it was really like somewhat accurate, like very accurate. And it had me thinking about when dad was dying. Like, do you remember? Like, I think dad's burst of energy was when we were watching the Super Bowl and the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg performance.
Yeah. And he was also probably in a bit of a delirium during that as well.
Yeah.
As he was like his last few weeks of life. But yeah, he like we had like the healthcare aide come in and he was
Yeah.
like bouncing up and
He was having a
down.
great time. So, but anyways, I think like it's also because you said it's so accurate, I think this is a really great way to like if you're maybe having someone in your life who's, diagnosed with cancer or terminal. Um, this might be a really good show for you to watch that like takes you on a bit of a journey, for with someone who's dying, and you can see that it's not all just absolute gloom.
Yeah. And also, like a lot of people hold their sense of humor even as they are dying. And I think that shows. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure some of it was dramatized
Oh, of course.
for the show, but this is a spoiler. So skip over the next like minute right now. My favorite part is it's a small interaction between the character and the best friend.
Hmm.
And the one who is dying is saying, make sure like when I die, I
Yeah.
don't die with my mouth open.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like she ends up dying with her mouth open. And so like Jenny Slate's character is like trying to like push her mouth up
Yeah.
because she's like, no, she can't die that way. And she was like, and then it falls open again, and then she has to do it again. And it was just like those little moments.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say 10 out of 10. Like, go watch
10
it.
out of
10
10.
out of 10. Go
I'm
watch
telling
it.
all my colleagues who I work with in palliative care to watch it too.
Oh my God, why is my cat being so crazy right now? Is it because we're potting?
Yeah. Teddy wants to talk about,
Teddy, do you want to talk about death? No, you're like, I just started life.
yeah, what if we,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, Dying for Sex, 100% recommend. Let's talk about My Dead Mom because
love that one.
I wrote an article about Wendy and the show for Get Griefy, which comes out in June. At this time, I don't think it's available outside of Canada, and I know they're working on it.
Yeah. And I think, and Wendy was on the podcast
Yeah, and
too.
Wendy was on our podcast, but it is so well done. I'll read the description.
Yeah. Read the description.
Okay, so Emmy is a woman who begins to reconsider her life choices 3 years after the passing of her mom, exploring the complicated nature of grief through the filter of mothers and daughters. And again, this is a show that I heard about and I binged. If you're in Canada, it's available on Crave. It might be available on Prime. Might be
No,
available.
probably Prime if you bought the Crave channel, is my
Oh,
guess.
okay. So, anyways, this specific show I really enjoyed because A, there's a lot of dark humor. It's about a Jewish daughter, which Alana and I are Jewish daughters. There's a lot of like elements of Judaism in there and like kind of like the Jewish guilt and like like the mannerisms of a Jewish mother.
Hmm.
Um, and I found it really relatable, like not even just the Jewish part, but just like losing my mom and like the hearing my mom's voices and stuff like that. Our mom, oh, there's Lenny. We got a cat
Yeah.
party. So the thing is, our mom, I would say, wasn't your typical Jewish mother.
She doesn't fit the stereotype fully, but our mom had a lot of like neuroses for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So why did you love My Dead Mom?
Okay, so I just loved it because like basically it's like the ghost of mom that visits Emmy and just the voice in the head of like what her mom would say to her in these moments because I often think about certain situations like what would mom say? More so it's about like when I hear news about people, I'm like, what would mom say about this?
Oh yeah,
But hers was a little bit more of like about her specifically. And I just find it so accurate that like beyond the grave,
yeah.
um, the mom is still having this huge influence on her life.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a really funny show, and Alana, you just like when it went down, like you just nailed it. So, um, And Wendy's amazing. Like she's won awards for her shows. She's on her podcast. You can listen to
Hmm.
it, and she's also a super cool chick that, is a very good storyteller. Another show that I think really uses dark humor well is Shrinking. And so Shrinking is a grieving therapist starts to break the rules by telling his clients exactly what he thinks. Jimmy has lost his wife and wants to try a new approach to his loss, but it's unclear how this is gonna help others. And so this is the way this show is. It like has all the emotions.
Hmm.
And so it's Jason Segal. Is it Segal or Siegel?
I
Segal.
don't know. Seagal.
Anyways, just
Seagal.
like the cast of characters is all brilliant. And like every episode, just like I feel like there's always a range of emotions. Like it's not just humor, but there's
Hmm.
a lot of humorous moments where like I do the whole like laugh out loud at like the situation that happens. Because it's
Yeah.
about all these relationships amongst like therapists, friends of the, mom who passed away, the wife who passed away, the daughter and the dad. And I think it's just done so beautifully. And
Hmm.
I would say, like, I don't even know if it's categorized as a dramedy, like a drama comedy, but there's a lot of there's a lot of comedic moments um, that are shown in this.
Totally. And it's just a reminder that like, like even when these like profound losses happen, like a lot of times there's like these funny little moments in the minutia. And what I personally love, it's not even the dark humor part of the show that I love. I'm a huge Jessica Williams fan. I used to listen to the Two Dope Queens podcast that she had with Phoebe Robinson. And so I just love her sense of humor. And you could see her bringing herself into the role. And I know she herself has actually gone through quite a grief.
Yeah,
I believe her partner had died. I don't want to like say what it was because I'm not 100% sure. It may have been an overdose. Um, but I mean, I don't know Jessica Williams,
yeah,
but I imagine she's tapped into her own experience.
yeah. I didn't know that she was part of Two Dope Queens.
Yeah.
She's so funny in the show. Like her character is amazing in the show.
Hmm.
Um, And then the last show I just want to touch on, and I know we're kind of going through the laundry list, but we don't want to go too deep because, well, we want you to go watch the shows.
Yeah.
We don't want to spoil them. So the next one, we're not going to talk too much about like, because it's new and there might be spoilers in this part, but
Yeah.
4 seasons. So, like, first of all, I'm gonna just read a description. And so it's the decade-long friendship between three married couples is tested with one divorces, complicating the traditions of their like quarterly weekend getaways. And it's Steve Carell, it's Tina Fey, Coleman Domingo, Erica, I don't even know how to say her last name, Henningsen, and a few other really brilliant characters, like this guy Marco Calavani. I've never even heard of him. Like he plays Claude. I love Claude. So basically, like it's the way the show is laid out. Each episode is like one of the seasons, and like it's
Hmm.
one of their trips, and it follows the journey. And like season one ends with a tragedy. Um,
Yeah.
but even the tragedy, the way they lay it out, has this layer of humor to it. Like the
Yeah.
tragedy Annette being announced itself wasn't, but what's happening around it is. And so this show, it's a dark comedy, but
Yeah. Well, and it also like other parts of grief aside from like tragic tragedies.
mhm.
There's some disenfranchised grief that happens quite early on in the show and the way they tackle that is very well done as well. And it's great. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because,
But like I also
watch it.
binged it. I binged watched it.
Yeah, I've been trying to like separate 8 episode shows into like two of four just for my own like because I don't want things to end.
Yeah.
Um, I do recognize I spoiled Dying for Sex and I apologize for that. But also, if you haven't watched it yet, then what are you doing?
Also like the title.
Yeah, like it's pretty obvious what happened. So,
But yeah, so I think like those 4 shows, Alana and I are working on this project where we're like really like diving back into our journey with grief and losing our parents and the work that we're doing and like the sadness and the sadness, but also the layers of the dark humor
Yeah, and like I think it's important to acknowledge the dark humor in the grief process because it creates conversation. I'll share a little anecdote that happened. So on Mother's Day this year, I was at a Pilates class, of course, and at the end of the class, the teacher's like, "Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me. I thought you'd all be with your mothers." And so immediately I go, "Well, my mom's dead." And everyone just kind of like looked like, "Oh," I'm like, "No, no, no, like it's fine." I'm like, "It's not fine, but like it's fine." And
Yeah.
then, but that brought up conversation. Like someone beside me was saying, "Yeah, this is how it'll be for Father's Day for me." And then I was like, "Yeah, me too." Not to try and steal her thunder, but then then the teacher started talking. And so it just became a conversation about like death and the loss of parents. And people are still so awkward when it comes to talking about death and grief that like sometimes these like dark humor moments can break the ice.
Right. And it's so great that you and I both have this honesty. Like heck, we have a whole book series called Resilient AF. We have a whole clothing line with the branding. We have clothing
Hmm.
that is legit dark humor. And the people who get it, and the people who don't, in the sense of we have shirts that say Dead Parents Society, and the tagline is the club that no one wants to join. Anyone who's lost a parent's like, I need that shirt. Anyone who hasn't is so offended by it. And it's like,
Yeah.
actually, that's gonna happen to you, and it's gonna be really, really terrible.
Yeah. And if it doesn't happen to you, that means you're the one who's died,
Which is also really, really
which is
terrible.
also really terrible.
But yeah, like I think like and you and I've talked about this, like, you've had a lot more friends in your circle who have
Yeah.
lost parents, but like it's unless you've gone through it, it's really like you just can't grasp it. Like
No.
you can't grasp it. And even losing a mom is different than losing a dad. Like our moms, like we're attached to them, our umbilical cords are like attached to them. And like,
Yeah.
like
Another,
we're literally come from them. And I feel like our mom's dying was like this other umbilical cord being cut, right? Like,
yeah.
and but so we use this dark humor, and like obviously like sometimes I'm just too sad to use humor, and that's okay. Like when Frey suddenly died, like there was no humor, but it's always kind of in hindsight that I can
Yeah.
reflect. Like even in
Yeah.
like Frey's last hours, like the only time he wasn't screaming in pain was when he was eating churu. So Shane's like, I'm just gonna give you churu after churu. And so before we put him down, we just gave him treat after treat. And we're like, he just basically ate till the very end. Like he was
That's
like a
so
little,
funny.
but like, yeah, like it's not like there's gonna be humor in every moment, and not every moment is humorous, but I'm sure there are things you can think about in hindsight.
Totally. I have another quick anecdote, and
Okay.
it's about TV. So Survivor recently switched, not recently, after COVID switched their seasons to be 26 days. And so I have a group chat of friends who um, watch Survivor every week. And they used to do this thing called a loved ones visit where they would have people come out. And now they do like a letter. And they get it on like day 21 or 22 of 26, which is like not actually that long. And so my friend who's lost her dad was like, "Oh, like I hate this. Like they don't like need it. Like it's only been like 21 days." And I was like, "Yeah, like, I don't like it either. Like it doesn't feel like they've earned it." And then I go to my friend, I'm like, "I think the reason we don't like it is because we've gone longer because our parents are dead."
Yeah. Oh,
And so like the other two people in the chat both have their parents alive, thankfully, but they were able to like laugh at the fact that like we could laugh at that. Even
yeah.
though it's like not funny, but like it's like of course we're bitter about it because like we've gone years. And like this friend of mine, like her dad actually died like 2 days before mom died. And so like we've been in this roller coaster for years together.
Mm, yeah. So I think on that note, we invite you to go check out these shows. If you're going through a really hard time, not just a death, but a grief or a challenge in life, you know, those little moments that make you chuckle, note them down. Those little moments of glimmers or like hilarity, like it's okay to
Mhm.
laugh. Like you can have multiple feelings at once, right? You can be extremely sad and in like a grief vortex and also find moments of joy. All the
Yeah.
feelings can coexist, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with laughing at a time where it should be really sad.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I come across this a lot with like my clients is like, people feel guilty if they're happy or people feel guilty if they're like enjoying themselves. And you're allowed to enjoy yourself and you're allowed to be happy and that doesn't take away from the grief
Yeah,
and sadness you're
exactly.
experiencing.
Exactly. So, any final words, sister?
You know, I do not have any final words.
Amazing, amazing. So, yeah, we want to invite you to find those moments in the dark times that bring you a little smile or a little giggle, and maybe reflect on hard times that you've gone through and see if there's any moments. And if you can't find one, that's also okay because there's not always humor in everything.
Yeah.
But we also invite you to check out those shows. If you're watching this or you're listening to this on YouTube or even actually on Spotify, we can leave comments. Let us know what other shows or movies that have dark humor
Hmm.
about grief and loss resonated with you because we'd love that. And maybe we even do a part two where we talk about movies and books and all those things. So,
Yeah.
and thank you to everyone who tuned in to another episode of Resilient AF. This was such a hoot. Good
A hoot
hoot.
hoot.
Hoot hoot. Remember, life's full of ups and downs, good and bad, happy, sad, laughs and cries. That's just part of being human. It's the human experience. And you don't have to go through it alone. It's completely okay to not be okay. We are here to hold your hand and be that lighthouse in the storm. And just remember, you are resilient AF. Thanks. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.